Welcome everyone back to the afternoon session of the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Today is still April 22nd, 2025. Before us, we have item number 6 on our public work calendar. Item 6A, the second reading and public hearing for ordinance 2502 in the matter of amending Lane Code Chapter 15 roadside integration vegetation management policy to update certain practices for program efficiency and adaptability. This is a procedural public ordinance hearing. And we'll begin by saying this is a public hearing. The date is April 22nd, 2025. And the order of the proceedings for this hearing will be first a report by staff, followed by any public testimony, and then additional comments by staff. And I see our staff eagerly seated and waiting. So, Orrin, if that's your show, you go right ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chair Lovell, Commissioners. I guess I get lucky today. It's not my show. I just get to do the introduction of our Natural Resource Specialist, Melanie O'Hara. I just have a background in the Chapter 15 code language and development of the IVM program, and that's what we're here for today is the second hearing and public hearing for that discussion. So with that said, I will hand it off and Melanie will go into the report and then we'll be available for any questions.
Thank you, Orrin. Chair, Commissioners, thank you. We're here today requesting an update to Chapter 15 code language associated with the Integrated Vegetation Management Program. This request is specific to requirements associated with portions of the noxious weed control efforts. We're looking to remove language requiring the placement of large roadside signs at each noxious weed treatment location within the right-of-way. We put a lot of deliberation into this request, bringing attention to the logistical issues we've been facing through our annual reporting over the last 2 years and with outreach to stakeholders so that we could address any potential concerns prior to this request for changes. A quick reminder that our herbicide program is limited use in nature. It focuses on treating overgrown guardrails, state-listed noxious weed locations, and for stump sprouting treatments within the right-of-way after tree removals. We do not perform broadcast roadside herbicide treatments in our rights-of-way. County staff has faced logistical issues in performing timely treatments to right-of-way noxious weed locations and have found difficulties in meeting the intended purpose of the placement of roadside signage, which was a way to provide the traveling public with the ability to avoid upcoming treatment areas. The intended effectiveness of prior notifications is lost when signs remain on site until an application can feasibly be made by county staff. This can sometimes be several weeks after placement because we adhere to label instructions and best management practices for any applications we make. Therefore, changing weather patterns and temperature shifts can affect treatment opportunities, and then shifting workload priorities can delay intended timelines. Sign placement efforts also reduce the flexibility needed for an effective noxious weed control program when we take into consideration best management practices required for seasonal timing of various species treatment windows. Some species need treatments prior to flowering. Some species do best with treatments after flowering or in the fall when the plants are already under translocation work, bringing energy reserves back down into the root systems. We have sites that occur throughout the county across our 1,400 miles of roads, and we intend to be good neighbors in our application treatments. The efforts are costly and an inefficient use of staff time when we consider pre-planning, roadside placement 7 days prior, and then removal, the application efforts, and then removal 3 days post-treatment. These 48-inch orange road signs are stolen and vandalized each year. We've found them in ditches in adjacent roadways and in farmers' fields. I've even received a call from a restoration group who found one out in a marsh in Coos Bay. In addition, the signs trigger call by constituents who believe that this is their opportunity to halt the spray program and any upcoming scheduled treatments. Advance notices for roadside applications have always been and will continue to be posted on Lane County's integrated target species and the product being used. Reminders of where to find notices are provided with each renewal letter for folks enrolled in the No Spray Area programs and any outreach efforts. We always encourage enrollees to share this information with local community groups and neighbors. We foresee improvements to efficiency and cost savings for the noxious weed control program and greater flexibility in timing effective applications. We see this as allowing us to increase prevention of new infestations across the county and to gain better control of the spread of established populations. Thank you for your time and consideration today. Please let us know if we have any questions.
Great, thank you, Ms. O'Hara. Our next item is the public testimony of this particular item before us. I don't see anyone in Harris Hall. And Jessica, is there anyone online that would like to make any public testimony at this time?
No, no one has joined us online.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'd like to close the hearing then officially. And if there's any other discussion or comments or questions from the board, this is your time to ask staff. Seeing none, Vice Chair, I'll call for the vote. Do you have a motion?
Yes, Chair, I move to approve ordinance 2502 in the matter of amending Lane Code, Chapter 15, Roadside Integrated Vegetation Management Policy to update certain practices for program efficiency and adaptability.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Vice Chair and seconded by Commissioner Buck. Is there any discussion to the motion? Yes, Vice Chair.
Yes, I just want to say I think it was a year ago when we started this process, and I'm very excited because the farmers out in our rural communities get talked to when they see these signs come up, and every time they're stopped, and then people come and stop and talk to them about what are you going to spray, what are you doing, and they're not our signs. So I think this is a great move, and I'm excited.
Great. It's been motioned by Vice Chair to approve ordinance 2502 in the matter of amending Lane Code Chapter 15 on the roadside integration vegetation management policy to update certain practices for program efficiency and adaptability, and seconded by Commissioner Buck. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify.
It's an ordinance.
It's an ordinance. Thank you. I'll call for the vote on this ordinance. All those in favor?
It's a roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call, yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr.
We don't
Mokryski.
have Commissioner Farr.
Commissioner Farr is absent,
Correct,
excused.
So we'll do Commissioner Trieger,
Aye.
Commissioner, did I do this right? I'm sorry. Let me start over. It goes least senior to most senior, with the chair going last. So Commissioner Senega,
Yay.
Commissioner Trieger,
Yes.
Commissioner Buck,
Aye.
and Commissioner Lovall.
Aye. Motion approves 4-0 with Commissioner Farr excused absence. Well done. Very good. Thank you for your perseverance over this last year, and happy road maintenance this year.
All right, we appreciate your guys' time. Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is an item we bumped this morning from the public comments to give them time to properly voice their opinions today. It's our number 4 item, our consent calendar. All items listed here are routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item would have been removed from the consent calendar and would have been considered separately. Details to each item can be found in the blue links attached to the item descriptions. Is there a motion for the consent calendar?
Chair, I have a motion.
Hey, please.
I move to approve the consent calendar for April 22nd, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. It's been moved by Vice Chair and seconded by Commissioner Buck to approve the consent calendar. Is there any discussion to the motion?
No discussion.
No discussion? And so there's nobody who wants to talk and tell us about this. Okay, so let's call for the vote. All those in favor of the consent calendar, please indicate with an aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Farr absent excused. Thank you muchly. Okay, Mr. Mokryski, we bumped item 5, the county administration announcements, and I see that you may have an election update that you may be helping with us too also,
Yes,
so go ahead,
That's right,
please.
Chair. Election update, I'll give you a quick update on strategic planning and maybe have one more thing. We do have an election this May 20th, special district election underway. The ballot contents and styles are finalized. We have 257 different styles of ballots reflecting all district combinations across Lane County's precincts. The voters pamphlet will be mailed on April 25th. It'll include several local district measures, the text explanatory statements, and then the candidate statements for 50 participating candidates. Just over 280,000 voters are actively registered and set to receive ballots. And based on historical trends, we expect that approximately 30% of those voters will turn out for this election. Military and overseas ballots were mailed on April 4th. 1,202 ballots were mailed to military and overseas absentee voters. 917 emails were sent with instructions for accessing, printing, and returning ballot materials in an alternate format if they're not able to receive their ballots timely by mail. And then a few dates that I'll share here. Registration deadline for first-time registrants is April 29th, so there is some time available. I think that makes about a week, a little over a week tomorrow to register if you're not, if you have not registered to vote before. The live stream, we have an elections live stream that's available on our website. That will go live on May 1st. All 21 Lane County drop boxes will open on May 1st. Ballots will also enter the mail stream on May 1st with delivery expected May 2nd and 8th. Return dashboards, the returns dashboards that we put together to provide kind of high-level overview of what we've received to date are set to go live on May 9th, and then the first day of ballot deconstruction will be May 16th. Of course, you can visit lanecountyor.gov/elections for all of that and more information. And folks should expect initial returns on May 20th, Tuesday, May 20th at 8 p.m. and then again at 11 p.m. And then the next day, May 21st at 5 p.m. Those will include ballots received during the election day of May 20th up until 8 p.m. ballot drop box collection. We'll provide another update on May 22nd at 5 p.m. Thursday, May 29th, results are typically cured and final post-marked ballots with those final postmarked ballots. June 11th, the results will include remaining cured ballots, and then the final results will be published Monday, June 16th at 5 p.m. So that's your elections update. We'll probably give you one or two more of those updates so you're aware of everything happening on the elections front. Then a quick strategic plan update, if I may. As the board knows, we've been actively working on the update of our strategic plan. The draft plan has been reviewed by Lane County department directors, is currently with the board for their individual review. We're planning to, we've done employee surveys and community surveys and focus groups, and so we're sort of nearing that tail end of the process here. Planning to host one virtual and one in-person community open house, again, to receive feedback on the draft plan in mid to late May. Don't have the date for that yet, but watch out for another virtual and in-person community open house mid to late May. Plan to host one virtual and multiple in-person employee open houses and at multiple Lane County work sites to receive feedback on the draft plan in mid to late May. We'll be hosting a survey for folks unable to participate in the open houses to be able to provide feedback on the draft plan. The dates and times of the open houses have not yet been set. We'll update those and widely broadcast them in the community through social media websites and other media outlets and posted on our website, lanecountyor.gov/strategic plan, not to be confused with lanecountyor.gov/elections. You can find a lot if you just put lanecountyor.gov and then you search through there, but you can do / strategic plan or elections or any other interesting things that you are you'd like to find. We're holding time on the board's June 24th agenda for final review and anticipate the adoption of the final plan at that time. Okay, that's that. We have the proposed budget is being finalized, has been sent to the printer now. We will provide to the budget committee here in the coming days the initial or the proposed budget as well as to our employees, and that will be posted for the public to have access to at the same time. So watch out for our 2025-26 proposed budget coming out within a matter of days. That's all I have, Chair, unless y'all have questions.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Buck, questions?
Yes, thank you. Since we're talking about elections, I was curious if there was an update on recruitment for a new clerk.
We are still in process of recruiting, so we are taking applications for qualified and outstanding individuals to join our talented team in elections.
Nicely answered. Any other questions? I see our head county council's at the table. Is there any other item that we need to address, sir?
No, I'm just here for the rest of your commissioner's business, and I see you have a list of going through the open board assignments, and I know I'm a part of that. So I figured I might as well be in the spotlight here for a moment.
Beautiful, thank you. Thanks for sharing the TV spotlight with us. Item number 7 is our commissioner's business. Item 7A is any announcements by the commissioners. Are there any announcements to be made? Yes, Commissioner Trigger.
Thank you, Chair. I want to make sure, I'm sure my colleagues know because we were all alerted, but it is open to the public right here in Harris Hall at 1:30 this Friday will be graduation ceremony for our deflection program, which is a really great opportunity to have a chance to see folks who have really done the hard work to get their life on track or back on track. And I recently read a book, which I highly recommend, and now I'm blank, The Many Lives of Mama Love, written by Laura Love Harden, who's a woman who, sort of suburban mom, and long story short, ended up with an addiction issue and identity theft and spent time in prison and then came out of prison, and it is her own memoir about that experience and all the many ways we make it so hard for people post-incarceration to succeed. And she mentioned in that book, she ends up working in a program with women post-incarceration, and they have their own program with a graduation ceremony. And she says for many of those women, it's the only graduation ceremony they've ever been a part of in their life. And I think that's likely true for folks in our deflection program, if not the group graduating this week, then next quarter or the one after that, perhaps. So as many of us know from graduations that we've been the graduate or sat in the audience for, it really means something to have people around you and witness that important accomplishment. So I would just encourage folks to come and put a human face to who it is in our community that has been through this program and help them celebrate their successes. That's Friday at 1:30 here. It happens quarterly. Thank you, Chair.
Great announcement. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Commissioner Buck.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to go up to Salem last week and join AOC County Day in the Senate. So each of the senators invited a commissioner to sit with them at their desk for courtesies in the morning. I was invited by Senator Brzezinski to sit with him, and it was a wonderful opportunity for us to really celebrate the collaboration between counties and the state legislature. Each commissioner was individually recognized, and Senator Brocksmith was able to state, all the ways in which we collaborate and work together. I had not seen a coordinated effort like that before, and it was really wonderful for them to really recognize what we do here at the county level and to celebrate that relationship. AOC really went out of their way to work with them, and I hope to see the House side do it eventually as well. We'll see. But it's important for us to show up there, be seen, be heard. They know that that we're advocating behind the scenes for whatever bills that they're working on. So if you ever get an opportunity like that in the future, I would definitely recommend going.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. Vice Chair, you got anything?
Yeah, we did I don't think I've talked about the United Front trip yet.
Nope.
I see we have Mr. Adams in here. He might have some additional information. We got split up a couple of times, but I would say it was overall very positive. We had some great meetings. The federal agencies, I almost want to say surprisingly and shockingly, were in good spirits. It was probably the best Forest Service meeting I've had. Bureau of Land Management meeting was great. We met with our rural development team. and that was spectacular. Mr. Adams and Brett had to drag me out of there. We were talking with people that are very passionate about getting our rural communities' water and wastewater systems fixed. That was great. And then we had some great meetings with our federal delegates, and probably the highlight of the trip was Mr. Adams got to ride in the Senate train. Finally, he got to check that off his bucket list, and we had we had an amazing tour of the Capitol with Congresswoman Hoyle, and it was just great to have her undivided time after hours in the dark going through the Capitol. It was pretty surreal. It was a good time. So we got a lot of work done too. We did. We worked hard, and the team that we were there with, everybody, when there was something to do, just hopped in and did it with no complaining. So good trip.
Great, thank you for sharing that. Mr. Adams, is the food on the Senate train better than on the airplane? Just questioning, yeah. Okay. All right, well, look, we're on to 7B on the commissioner's comments and remonstrance from this morning. Anyone have any comments they'd like to share? Seeing none, let's move on to committee reports. I'm excited to see if anybody's got some committee reports. Yes, Commissioner Buck.
There haven't been a lot of meetings since our last meeting, except for the Human Services Commission. And of course, we're still up in the air on how that's going to come together, given the city of Eugene's financial state and going into budgeting. We have a real risk of losing the city of Eugene's funding for that. I mentioned this, I think, previously, but now we're starting to really see the reality of that. The city is, of course, going to be having a meeting to figure out what they're going to do for their budget and how much is going to get axed. But I'm very concerned if they're not contributing to that fund, along with the city of Springfield, that commission is really not viable at that point. So it depends on the level that the city contributes. Right now, it's just shy of $1 million. That could easily be reduced significantly or eliminated. So we just have to keep an eye on that. Of course, the county is the bulk of the funding. For now, at our last board meeting, we approved just keeping the current funding allocations the same going into our budget season. So we'll see that at our board level when they present. That's the update.
Great, thank you. Yes, Commissioner Trieger.
Thank you. Thanks for that update, Commissioner Buck. I serve on that commission with you, so appreciate you sharing that. I want to share out from two related committees, the Fair Board. Hopefully tomorrow, the lineup for entertainment on the main stage for this year's fair will be posted, and that's always exciting. And then related is the Lane Event Center long-range planning process continues. I am this board's representative on that visioning group. We had one open house with great turnout. A second one is scheduled for May 15th, so lots of open houses for people to weigh in on the future of Lane County, as our administrator just said, and the Lane Event Center future in particular. And just something that's raised a lot as we talk about multi-use facilities or a multi-use campus, and it already is a multi-purpose facility, campus with multi-purpose facilities, but a couple of exciting updates that we've secured funding for, grant funding for, is the lobby. A lot of people know the lobby at the main Lane Event Center building on the fairgrounds has really cool old brick flooring, but it's not very practical. It can't manage carts of much weight, so vendors bringing stuff in and out tend to crack the carpets. It gets slippery in the wet weather, of which we have a few days here. So we are replacing the flooring in there. We're adding more ADA mechanical doors to that lobby area, expanding the width and height of some doors so more large equipment can come and go. So we're making what is already a multi-purpose facility even more multipolar uses. Additionally, the Wheeler Pavilion, that really cool round building at the Lane Event Center, has a new HVAC system, so it'll be more efficient heating and cooling. That is one of our greatest revenue generators on the property because private entities rent it for special events. If you haven't been in the Wheeler and seen the new bathroom upgrade we did last year, it's fantastic. So there's a lot happening there, and so really what these open houses are for this long-range visioning is to help the community let us know the types of events they want there, the sort of aesthetic of the property and how it fits in with the neighborhood. It's less about a thumbs up or down to a particular project. But I also just always like to emphasize to folks, because there's been a lot of conversation about that campus over the last few years, that it already is a multi-use facility, and we just want to maximize the types of uses. So if you have input or ideas or a vision for that campus, for the kinds of events, for particular building upgrades or demolition, chance to weigh in at the next open house, May 15th, 5 to 7 p.m. at the Lane Event Center.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? No, I've been a member of the board of El Rapa since been elected, and they just refinished their remodel of the old Selco Bank building at 10th and Main Street in Springfield. It's wonderful, new big conference room, great tech. Everybody's attitudes shooting to the moon because everybody's, rejuvenated, working into a good space. It used to just be a cubicle dark nightmare, but it's really well done. They came in 1% under budget, which I thought was fantastic in the building environment we're in now currently, so congratulations to them. Also, Travel Lane County is aggressively, again, starting to dream about indoor sports arena center. There's been some spirited discussion in the exec committee, and there's been some sites around town that have been potentials for reuse that would make the facility come to fruition without starting from the ground up and exasperating a bunch of money to start from the ground, but to reuse a building and rehab it. So that's kind of our focus. Travel Lane County's got some funds that they want to make some commitments with, so I think that is moving along swimmingly, as we say, and I'm looking forward to that in the future. So if there's anything else, Jessica, I understand you're still in the clouds, and we'd like to talk about those future board assignment requests that we have. We have a list of things that have been taken care of and been on the docket for some time, and we'd like to kind of clean those out. So this is our opportunity to do that. Are you ready up there?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Go ahead, please, then.
Sure. We currently have 21 items on our board assignments, and so it is timely, I believe, to go through and reevaluate each one to see which ones we might be able to close out. The first one on the list that I believe you can see up on the screen, let me know if that is difficult to see. I can try to enlarge it.
That's good.
Great. Discuss committees, structures, and frequency of reporting back to the board. And this item, the most recent change we have made is that committee reports was added as a standing item on the BCC agenda beginning with the March 11th meeting.
Perfect. And that one was originally brought forth by the board chair and vice chair of 2023, which was Commissioner Farr and Commissioner Trieger. Would you be okay with us eliminating that item?
Yeah, I'd consider that closed.
Okay, good deal. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Oops. And then our next item then was from May 11th of 2021, proposed by or brought forward by Commissioner Trieger. Would like the administration to bring back a discussion on committee process and what is the right and best path forward toward equity. Bring a recommendation on how to embark on this topic. This could also be included in the strategic plan. The most recent movement we've had on this item was a work session. A first work session was held on October 22nd, 2024.
Yeah, and this has actually been ongoing. I'd like to keep it open because as we've now re-engaged and reconstituted an equity and access advisory board is what we used to call it. I don't remember what what's that advisory board called now?
Equity Program Advisory Board.
Equity Program. So we have an Equity Program Advisory Board now, and I've been working with staff in the equity department as well as interns that they've had on, and we've talked about things like the universal application that is underway. So this is still an ongoing body of work. It's not like a make the assignment and then one thing closes it. So I would like to keep it open because we are still working on it, and we are still in the midst of our strategic planning and can see where if something gets embedded there. So unless someone on the board feels strongly otherwise, I would say this is just evolving work and to keep it open. And there will come a point, I would imagine, by maybe the end of the calendar year where there'd be a report back on the totality of that work with the newly seated board, the new universal application, and depending what ends up getting placed in the strategic plan, if anything, around this item, that we could maybe close it out at the end of the year or so.
Any comments? All right, let's move on then.
Our next item then was brought forward by Commissioner Trieger as well, and this was to have legal look into clarification surrounding Lane County Historical Museum. Our last note on this item was from September of 2024, in which the Office of Legal Counsel was researching.
Yep, and I think this is still underway. The Lane County Historical Museum has a new executive director, but this was really about ensuring that the documentation around the collection itself, which is what Lane County owns, is especially clear about who owns the collection and the responsibility for that, as much as anything having to do with museum operations itself. So I think that's just been an understandably not super high priority for our legal team. They have a lot of issues to work on. It's not particularly urgent or time sensitive, but it was something that has been in question for quite some time, is whether we have the proper documentation around the actual ownership of the collection.
I will inquire of staff as to where we're at on that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item. This was brought forward by Chair Lovell. Property manager, look and analyze properties for zoning options, condition assessment, and projected costs for adequate remediation to partner with a service, housing, or treatment entity, including those in unincorporated areas.
Yeah, this item I brought up because it was before the Hennepin case that we're now kind of going through about who, on our foreclosed property, who gets that money after we sell. So I think that's still in litigation, if I'm not mistaken.
Not really in litigation, it's in negotiation related to permanent legislation as to how we deal with it. We can certainly report back to you once the legislature does what it's going to do, but it's largely, long-term, it's going to be out of our control. It's going to be controlled by state law.
Okay, so let's keep that open until we get a final decision, if we could, please.
Thank you. The next one. Brought forward by Commissioner Buck, request to coordinate protocols about the role of commissioners in providing for the safety of staff and stakeholders.
And if I might.
Sorry. Go ahead, Council.
If I might, we have, and if I could explain, so my staff as well as myself and Steve's staff, we've essentially formed a little work group to work on all of your board procedures, to work on the safety protocols, to update essentially the whole board process. And so I would suggest we take that one, we merge it with the very last one, which is my new assignment from, I think, 2 weeks ago, as well as the additional work that I've just described, because that work group is kind of working on kind of updating and upgrading all of your procedures. And our plan is to come back to you sometime soon with a package of recommendations for you to consider that will address procedures, processes, safety, all of those things to kind of update everything at the same time. If that meets with the board approval.
Great, is that clear, Jessica, that he's wanting, I think that's the board order that I have for getting back about board procedure and that sort of thing as a work session. So you want to combine this and that, so you've got, it's all one, yeah.
We plan to bring it all back to you as a single package.
Great. Head nods for
Yes, that
that?
is clear to me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Buck's got a question.
Just a clarifying question. When you think of safety, what are you describing?
I'm describing a number of elements, which is essentially how protocols affect safety in terms of how you conduct the business in this very room, the physical layout and structure of the room. It could also involve things in terms of who has access to some areas and the protocols around that. Like, for example, this morning I couldn't help but notice people were approaching the dais, not just members of the public, but also staff, when and where that's appropriate, how that happens, kind of looking at all of those things and trying to make sense of it all and create, to be honest, you have rules of procedure, what I would call rules of procedure in charter, ordinance, your administrative manual, your lane manual, then there's additional orders, and then there's these side documents as well. And there's just a lot of stuff there that, quite frankly, needs updating and probably combining and consolidating. There's even a special document related to specifically board safety, which probably needs to be looked at again in concert with all of that. Is that probably was mud, but
That's very helpful.
I mean, I literally have 7 tabs of different organized documents that were adopted at various times by your board to address board protocols, which is fine. But I don't know that anybody recently has taken a 50,000-foot look at the whole package and tried to make sense of it.
I just wanted this to include behavioral safety, how we interact, communicate with staff for a sense of safety as well. That's the only addition I would want that to be incorporated, especially if we were going to merge it.
I agree, and that's, I forget, it's either document 6 or 7, there's a draft report to you on that issue as well.
Okay, great.
Yes.
I'm okay with merging if we'd like to do that then.
Got head nods. Go ahead. That'd be good. So Jessica, we're going to merge that. I think probably council will get back to you and kind of firm that up with you and what that looks like. We don't have to do it on the fly, but
Jessica's part of that work group too, so.
yes, exactly. So let's move to the next item, please.
Thank you. This item was brought forth in June of '24. Report back to commissioners on the community benefits bidding CBB process of subcontractors and whether the language is clear on expectations of CBB. And we do have a report to the board scheduled for next week, April 29th, 2025.
Yep, so once that once that agenda item has concluded, I would be happy to consider that item closed unless there's further direction in the wake of that presentation by staff.
Thank you. Moving on then, another one brought forward by Commissioner Lovall. And this was an assignment from last December. Return to the board with 2 work sessions within the first quarter of 2025 on land management division goals and actions, specifically related to furthering next steps following barriers to affordable housing report. And we did have 2 work sessions in the first quarter of 2025 for this item.
Yeah, kudos to all involved. Mr. Mokryski, thanks for getting that organized with your staff, and thanks to Keir Miller and his staff for doing that. They did a great job, and that would be a closed item.
Thank you. The next item was made by Commissioner Farr. Do we want to review it, or should we just skip it since he is not with us now?
I think let's go by that and let him have a say-so when he's back.
Certainly, thank you.
We did that.
Unless, when is that again? That's the...
So
Oh,
that
that's
was the
about
one from
DOJ?
December 18th, 24, returned to the board in early January 2025 with a presentation from the Department of Justice on Oregon sanctuary law.
Yeah,
We did have that presentation on January 14th.
that happened, so yes, Commissioner Buck, go ahead.
That just brings up a issue, like usually once those are done and completed, those used to be automatically removed from the worksheet, so that we'd always have an updated worksheet. Lately, we've changed the format where we keep everything on, even if it's completed, until we have one of these meetings on the dais. I kind of like the way it was before, so that I'm not seeing this huge, long list. But I think we have to give direction on which way we prefer, or have it organized somewhat differently, so it just isn't a list that continues on forever.
At tab 8 in County Council's notebook.
One way we could do that is we could take the items that we believe are complete and maybe put them at the end and note that we believe these are complete, but allow you to review them and just concur, yes, these are complete, go ahead and take them off.
That would make sense.
So that it doesn't create this laundry list, but at least you get the ability to review that and agree.
Does that need concurrence from the whole board, or can just the individual commissioner that requested that item just say, yeah, it's been completed and take it off? I mean, I'm kind of confused as to why we need everybody's approval to take off an item that
Don't really need,
requested.
it's
Yeah.
not, it's less sort of about approval, more just awareness,
Right.
I would say. So it's really your decision. If you want to just tell us to, once you believe it's been complete, to remove it, we can do that.
Although we, oh, go ahead.
Commissioner Trigger.
I think if they were a group that, to the best of staff's assessment, these are completed, all of the group at the bottom, then when we do this, it could just be, the chair at the time can just say, is there anything on the staff considers completed list that anybody wants to keep alive? And so it's a sort of, and then if nobody does, then it's done.
Sort of a one flush.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I
Not
like that.
line by line by line.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, I like that.
This would take far less time. And if we had to have 3 head nods to put it on, we should probably get 3 head nods to take it off. Technically speaking.
Yep.
Okay. Let's continue on. Jessica, please.
Certainly. I'm moving past the ones made by Commissioner Farr, coming to the next one. Made on January 28th, 2025 by Commissioner Seneca, returned to the board with a presentation discussion on local access roads to include information about LARs in general and also LARs within the urban growth boundary. And we do have this item scheduled to return to the board next week on April 29th.
Vice Chair.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be here next week, so after that, we'll talk about taking it off.
Thank you. And then this one was made by Commissioner Farr, but we can wait for him to give the final head nod that it is completed. And that was with the county administrator to return with an informal report on the transient room tax or transient lodging tax.
Which we just did.
Here's an item from February 11th, 2025, brought forth by Commissioner Trieger. Staff to return to the board with information to help understand how the short-term rental industry is impacting housing availability in the wildfire zone and adjacent areas. And we did have this report on March 18th, 2025.
Yep. So
Complete?
that's completed, yep.
Thank you. Here's an assignment from February 25th, 2025, brought forth by Commissioner Trieger. And this had to do with the sanctuary statement that we brought forth this morning.
Yep, so. We can consider
Completed.
that closed.
Yeah.
Thank you. Whoops, I'm sorry if I'm giving you vertigo here. February 25th, brought forth by Commissioner Seneca, request for a work session on the Clean Lane project.
I think that's in a holding pattern.
Thank you. We'll just move forward then. Here's an item that I believe we've completed from March 11th, brought forth by Commissioner Trieger, direct staff to write a letter of support for Willamette family for pursuit of state funding, and we did complete that letter and sent it off on March 19th.
Okay. Completed. Thank you.
Next one on the list then is from March 11th, made by Commissioner Buck, ask Eugene Airport staff to provide a 30-minute presentation to the board on the airport expansion project. And we have this scheduled for July 22nd. And 3/18/25 brought forth by Commissioner Trigger, returned to the board with an update or discussion on the status of federal funding particularly anything that has been suspended or put on hold, or any changes to funding sought or typically received that we now question if will be received. And so my understanding is staff will be bringing those reports forward as they are timely.
Great, then I would just like to keep it open so that it stays on our radar
Certainly.
as an ongoing issue. Thank you.
Next one was an assignment made on March 18th by Commissioner Lovall, follow-up assignment from the legal lot verifications property line adjustments work session on 3/18. And this work session is scheduled for June 10th.
Great.
So keep that open. Another assignment made by Commissioner Lovall on April 1st, invite Lane Workforce Partnership to give a presentation to the board on their progress and current challenges. This presentation is scheduled for July 8th.
Good.
And then lastly, the most recent assignment made, and this was by Commissioner Lovall, and this is the work that County Council is putting together for us. Request a brief work session or exec session to look into traditional uses and practices of remonstrance, statements before remonstrance, and a general review of the flow of the agenda. And so as we understand it, this is going to be merged with other work items.
All right, good work. Thank you for allowing us to go through that. And if anyone wants to add any more future agenda items, now's your chance if you have anything else to add that is on your mind. Seeing none, we'll not have an occasion to review our announcements with Mr. Mokryski. Is there any other business for the good of the order before we recess? Seeing none, then we are recessed until tomorrow, 9 a.m. for a work session in the Board of County Council's Commissioners Room, the BCC. Thank you very much.